She thought the HOA badge in her purse gave her authority everywhere. For years, neighbors in her community had watched her weaponize rules over grass height, mailbox colors, parked cars, even holiday decorations. Nobody challenged her because fighting back usually made things worse. But the moment she stepped into a crowded airport terminal, something changed. What started as a loud argument over unauthorized luggage placement quickly spiraled into a humiliating public scene involving airport security, delayed passengers, and a woman who genuinely believed federal employees should obey HOA regulations. Witnesses stared in disbelief as she tried to enforce neighborhood rules inside one of the busiest airports in the country. And the worst part wasn't the meltdown itself. It was what airport authorities uncovered about her behavior afterward that turned a petty HOA tyrant into the center of a nightmare she never saw coming. How did one woman become so obsessed with control that she thought HOA power extended beyond her neighborhood? And what finally happened when someone with real authority told her no? Mark Reynolds had lived in the same HOA neighborhood for almost 6 years, and for most of that time, life there felt predictable in the best possible way. The streets were clean, the houses were quiet, and the neighborhood sat far enough outside the city to avoid the noise and traffic that had burned him out during his years working in corporate management. After a stressful divorce and years of exhausting work schedules, he wanted simplicity more than luxury. The neighborhood looked perfect when he first moved in. Trimmed lawns, quiet evenings, families walking dogs after dinner while sprinklers clicked across carefully maintained yards. It was the kind of community real estate agents described as peaceful and professionally managed. At first, the HOA barely mattered to him. The occasional reminder about trash bins or lawn maintenance never felt like a big deal. Mark paid his dues on time, kept his property clean, and stayed out of neighborhood drama whenever possible. But there was one person nobody could fully avoid: Diane Mercer. Everyone knew her name. Even residents who never spoke to her directly knew exactly who she was. She wasn't officially the HOA president anymore, but she behaved like she still controlled the entire subdivision. Every morning she drove slowly through the neighborhood in a white SUV, scanning houses like she was conducting inspections. People joked about it quietly, but never too loudly, because Diane always seemed to hear things eventually. And once she focused on someone, their life became exhausting. One family received complaints because their teenage son parked his truck crooked in the driveway. A retired veteran fought fines over a small vegetable garden hidden behind his fence. Another resident got repeated warnings because Christmas decorations stayed up 2 days too long after the holidays. Most people eventually gave in because arguing with Diane drained time, money, and energy. Mark noticed the pattern early, but he stayed invisible as much as possible. He worked remotely, traveled often, and avoided HOA meetings unless attendance became mandatory. That strategy worked for a while. Then Diane started targeting him too. First came a violation notice because his trash bins remained visible from the street for an excessive amount of time. They had been outside for less than 4 hours. Then she complained about the brightness of his porch light. After that came warnings about guest parking during a weekend barbecue. None of it felt accidental. The worst part was realizing the HOA board rarely pushed back against her complaints. Even without official authority, Diane still intimidated people into compliance. Then came the airport trip. It was supposed to be completely ordinary. A short business conference in Chicago, 3 days away, early morning flight. Nothing memorable. The only unusual part was spotting Diane at the airport check-in area before boarding. Seeing her outside the neighborhood felt strange immediately. She looked exactly the same as she did during HOA meetings: stiff posture, oversized sunglasses, perfectly styled hair, and an expression that constantly looked irritated by the existence of other people. At first, Mark planned to avoid her completely, but within minutes, he realized something was wrong. Diane wasn't acting like a traveler. She was acting like she still controlled the HOA. People nearby started turning their heads. Airline employees looked confused. A family near the gate suddenly moved away from her seating area. Diane pointed at strangers with the same authority she used back home when issuing complaints about lawns and parking violations. Mark watched from a distance while pretending to scroll through emails. Then things escalated. An older couple resting near a charging station suddenly found themselves being lectured because their carry-on bags partially blocked a walkway. A college student eating fries near the gate got publicly scolded for leaving napkins on a chair beside him. A mother trying to calm a crying toddler received an unsolicited speech about maintaining standards in shared public spaces. People initially assumed Diane worked for the airport. Then they realized she didn't. That's when irritation started turning into hostility. Mark should have walked away, but curiosity kept pulling his attention back toward the growing scene. Then came the confrontation that changed everything. A businessman sitting near gate 14 rested one foot on his suitcase while charging his phone. Diane approached him, pointed toward the floor, and appeared to lecture him about blocking pedestrian traffic. The man ignored her. That should have ended it. Instead, Diane physically moved his suitcase several feet away. The businessman jumped to his feet instantly. Nearby passengers turned around. Conversation stopped. The tension in the terminal changed immediately. Mark couldn't hear every word from across the gate area, but Diane's body language said enough. She pointed aggressively toward airport signs while gesturing around the terminal like she was explaining official regulations. Then airport security arrived. For a moment, Mark assumed the situation would calm down quickly. Instead, Diane made the worst possible mistake. She treated airport security exactly the way she treated HOA residents. She interrupted them repeatedly, demanded names and badge numbers, insisted they enforce what she called basic community compliance standards. At one point, she reportedly claimed disorderly behavior could lead to financial penalties and removal privileges, as if airport security operated like an HOA enforcement committee. Passengers started recording, and that's when the embarrassment became public. Security escorted Diane toward a quieter area, but she refused to stop arguing. Her voice echoed through the terminal while nearby travelers stared in disbelief. The disturbing part wasn't how angry she became. It was how convinced she was that she had authority. Diane genuinely believed she was right. Most controlling people eventually recognize when they've crossed a line. Diane didn't seem capable of that realization. Then the situation became even worse. A delayed flight packed the terminal with frustrated passengers, and Diane somehow interpreted the crowding as evidence that people needed more regulation. Instead of calming down, she started confronting strangers again over luggage placement and seating arrangements. One exhausted traveler finally snapped back at her loud enough for everyone nearby to hear. Security rushed back immediately, and then Diane refused instructions again. Passengers openly filmed her now while she argued with officers about airport procedures she clearly didn't understand. She pointed at travelers, accused people of creating unsafe visual congestion, and repeatedly tried to assert control over situations that had absolutely nothing to do with her. Then airport police arrived. Not security, police. The atmosphere changed instantly. Diane's confidence started cracking for the first time all day as officers reviewed witness statements and surveillance footage inside an airport operations office. But even then, she couldn't stop herself. Instead of calming down, she blamed passengers for being disorderly. She blamed airport staff for failing to maintain standards. She blamed security for escalating the situation. At one point, she reportedly claimed modern society had become too tolerant of chaos and that she was only trying to restore order. That statement spread through the terminal almost immediately. People stared at her in disbelief. Then came the moment that completely destroyed her image. One of the passengers who recorded the confrontation uploaded the footage online. The videos exploded through social media almost instantly. Millions of views, thousands of comments. And once viewers discovered Diane was connected to an HOA, the internet reaction became ruthless. Meanwhile, airport authorities continued reviewing footage from the terminal, and what they found made the situation even worse. Diane hadn't simply argued with travelers. She repeatedly interfered with passenger movement, ignored instructions near operational zones, and approached restricted boarding areas despite multiple warnings. Airport officials stopped treating her behavior like an annoying public meltdown. They started treating it like a security issue. Then Diane made one final catastrophic mistake. While officers questioned her inside the operations office, she suddenly stood up and attempted to continue confronting passengers who had recorded her earlier. Airport police intervened immediately. The entire terminal watched as officers physically escorted Diane through the building while passengers openly filmed the scene. The humiliation was absolute. For years, Diane controlled information inside the neighborhood through fear and intimidation. Residents stayed quiet because challenging her created endless problems. But inside that airport terminal, nobody feared her. People saw her exactly as she was. Not powerful, not authoritative, just a deeply controlling woman who confused petty HOA influence with real authority. And the consequences didn't end there. Airport authorities issued Diane a formal removal order from the terminal and documented repeated interference with airport operations. Her flight reservation was canceled. Her secure boarding access was revoked. The incident triggered additional internal reviews because of her behavior near restricted areas. But the real collapse happened back home. The viral videos reached Diane's neighborhood within hours. Residents who had spent years silently enduring harassment suddenly started talking openly for the first time. Neighbors exchanged screenshots, violation notices, emails, and stories. Patterns emerged quickly. People realized the system wasn't just strict. It was personal. The next HOA meeting became chaos. For the first time, residents refused to back down, and the board collapsed under pressure almost immediately. New HOA leadership took over within months. Enforcement policies changed. Ridiculous neighborhood rules quietly disappeared. Residents demanded transparency and oversight for every complaint process moving forward. The atmosphere in the community transformed completely, and the airport incident became legendary inside the neighborhood. Not because people enjoyed humiliation, but because it exposed a truth everyone secretly understood. Power borrowed from intimidation disappears the second people stop being afraid.